All right, welcome in everyone, welcome in. We are going to be playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles today, and I suspect that we are going to be able to finish up the case we were on, case 5. We were very close to the end, it feels like. I can't imagine how much more there is to reveal, so it's gonna be interesting. I think last time, what did we do? We were talking. We got to talk to Eggert Benedict or whatever his name is, and he was just like spewing forth a pile of lies that we had to keep unraveling with the help of those brothers. So I think we should be pretty close to being able to finish it. So everything looks good. Let's go ahead and start our intro and then we'll hop right in. Greetings friends and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today we're playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and in today's episode, while I suspect we're going to finish case 5, the case of the Hound of the Baskervilles, because there's so many lies that have been told and so many lies that we have unraveled. What else left is there to tell? Let's go ahead and hop in and see what further lies we're gonna have to straighten out. Alright. Let's hop in. Yes. What do we got? The moment of the shooting. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still sitting near the entrance to the shop. When the Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. The accused, in a black coat, shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. Really? That's the story you're gonna spin? Good gracious, this is quite extraordinary testimony. Yeah, it's like a pile of crap is what it is. Look at that smug smile. Anyone else want to just punch him right in the kisser? You claim, sir, under oath, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger? This is not going to go well for you, sir. Order! 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 It wasn't my intention to testify in this way. But neither is my intention to be found guilty of a murder I didn't commit. So you're just going to lie? Is that what you're saying? But you did commit the murder. So you see, my hand has been forced. I tell the truth now as an act of self-preservation. What? Why would you not start with the truth? The truth. Until now, the prosecution was completely unaware of these details. Yes, well, sorry about that. Having shot me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. And as I said, she was showered in his blood. Was she now? You say the blood splattered over the accused's coat. Are you sure on that point? Oh yes, quite sure. All over the black overcoat that pickpocket girl was wearing at the time. I'm pretty sure we have a picture that says otherwise. Really? If her coat could somehow be shown to harbor vestiges of blood, that would be conclusive evidence here. We can use the device that... Yeah, let's use see if we can use the device on the coat to reveal blood splatter. Such an investigation is entirely possible, my lord. What? Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood. So here's to true science, and not some amateurish detective's dubious foray into the world of chemistry. There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound. Ideas of no use to us here. In science, as in law, theories must be proven before they stand. She wants to punch him in the face. In Germany, the technique has already been employed in the courtroom as the basis of evidence. Scotland Yard has a small quantity of the chemical reagent used. With your lordship's permission, we could shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes. This doesn't look good, Bruno. Why not? Well, we know, don't we, that there's blood all over the front of Jenny's coat. If they test it with their chemicals... Oh, help, you're right. I was forgetting what happened yesterday. Don't move, Jenny. I'm going to shoot. And there was blood. What color was it? It was purple. But that's not Mr. Windibank's blood. That stain is from 2 months ago. That's Mr. Mason's blood from when he was stabbed by McGilded, who was wearing the coat at the time. So we have to somehow get our evidence admitted. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution. Overruled. Lord Van Zieks, make it so at once. Oh boy. With pleasure, my lord. And while we await the results, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Once they find that blood on the overcoat, Gina will be... Counsel! Yes, my lord. Your cross-examination? Of course, my lord. If this cross-examination doesn't go well, if I don't manage to uncover some decisive evidence or really compelling clue now, I have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial. Oh man, so this isn't going to be as easy as I thought. We gotta break him somehow. The moment of the shooting. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. Mr. Windibank emerged from the storeroom, I believe. Ringo and Nash were scouring the counter when he suddenly appeared and flew at them. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close. I've never been so scared in all my life. Yeah, we were just your regular mild-mannered burglars, that's all. We don't like violence. Says the pair who carry a gun. What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance to the shop? I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves of forfeited items. Looking for the music box, of course. The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined in, making it 2 against 1, so I assumed they could handle the situation. But I was wrong. I was trying to help me little bro, but the old geezer chucked me over the blooming counter. So I pulled me gun on the old fellow, and that soon made him scarper. The pair of you setting upon the poor defenseless pawnbroker together? Shame on you! Sorry, Gov. When Windibank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. From what? You mean that's the moment you were shot? Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the 3 men were brawling. It was at exactly that moment it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshot. And the bullet went on to strike the calendar in the wall behind you. So it would appear. When I looked at my arm, I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later. Did Mr. Windibank intend to shoot you, do you think? Oh, well, now, I don't imagine he even noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home. When I pulled my gun on him, he tried to shove me out the way. And then he scampered through the door out back. At which point, what did you do? I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see through the peephole in the door, though. I didn't think that peephole opened. You mean you chased after him? I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop. And what about this peephole in the door you mentioned? Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom door is a solid job, made of stout wood. Okay. But there's a small opening in it about the head height that lets you see what's in there from the outside. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. But is it covered with glass, or is it just open? And what about you burgling brothers? Did you see what went on through the peephole as well? Not likely, Gov. Didn't see nothing of the sort, Gov. I doubt these two buffoons were even aware of the peephole's existence. So the Skulkin brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Windibank take place. Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and that young girl standing there. The defendant? Yes, though neither of them noticed that I was looking. The girl raised her gun and pointed it straight at the man. And then, what did you see next? The accused, in a black coat, shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand. But that was Mr. Windibank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Graydon, that bullet was fired at you. But no, it wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from Windibank's gun grazed my arm, and yes, the Skulkin's gun grounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely, a third gun. The broker's gun was not the murder weapon, so clearly there had to be a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun with her at the time. But no other gun was found at the scene. Calm yourself, counsel. Sorry? You must consider the events in order. At first, I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other, but then, all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. And it was at that moment that the little gutter rat shot him in the back. A chilling image, I must say. I love his dramatics. He's just like, pose for the dramatic. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. I'm very confused how you could see all of this through the little peephole, but you know. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. What's your feeling, Runo? As much as I hate to admit it, I don't see any obvious holes in his testimony at the moment. But you have to find a way to break this man. And quickly, too, because once they discover the blood on the overcoat Gina was wearing... It's a bit strange that he's so sure of himself about seeing the blood splatter over Ginny's coat. It doesn't strike me as the sort of thing you'd claim if you hadn't genuinely seen it happen. But we know that Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank, so what's going on? All I know is that it's very unfair. Why should some German scientist test be acceptable as evidence when mine and Hurley's wasn't? Detectives can use test tubes too. Never mind that. I have to find a really stark inconsistency in this testimony somewhere. And I have to find it before the prosecution discovers the bloodstain on Gina's coat. Alright. I think I skipped a press somewhere. So I'm going to quickly go forward through this and see. We did this because I think I skipped these last two ones, right? I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. Did you now? All over her? Yes, through the peephole I saw it clearly. Sorry about that, guys. Alright. Of course, the stains are invisible now, what with the coat being such a dark color. But I assure you, the garment is sullied with the victim's blood. Well, it is sullied with blood, that's for sure. But it's not Mr. Windibank's blood, is it? No, that's right. It's Mr. Mason Milverton's blood from when McGill had stabbed him 2 months ago. I wonder if we can present that evidence to him, even though it's not accepted as evidence. I don't know. It's so annoying. If only they'd accept Hurley's chemical analysis, we could prove that. But they won't, so unfortunately we can't use it as evidence to support our case. Father. And then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. But why would she do that? That makes no sense. Did I hear you correctly? She threw the gun out of the room? That's right. After the broker fell to the floor, she started walking over. Over where exactly? In the direction of the storeroom door. That's where I was watching. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then the girl dropped the gun through the peephole onto the floor on my side of the door. But why on earth would she do such a thing? I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there, in case any more tragedies took place. Makes no sense whatsoever. So it was you, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime? Do you have the third gun? Yes, it was yours truly. I left the clear up to my lackeys and left. Clear up? We'd made a bit of a mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistle and Flute Air told us to tidy up. He thinks our bloomin' mum sometimes. He thinks he's our bloomin' mum sometimes. Well, I was paying you enough, by God. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? You're like a bull at a gate, aren't you? Oh boy, let's see. What's going on? Hello? Ha 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 ha. Something wrong, sunshine? That should be my line? You do realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin. Blimey, this D's a bit of a hooligan, ain't he? What was going on just now? You saw him? He grabbed me whistle. Why the blazes, he said, didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down the station? And why didn't you? 'Cause we didn't know nothing about it, or that flaming peephole in the door. Sorry about that. I could be prone to losing my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are you? God blimey, see the way it is looking at me? I'm telling you, this deed gives me the willies. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone. No, that wasn't like Gregsy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him. Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris. Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. Now he's back to his chips. My lord! Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Explain yourself, officer. I have the results of the test that was ordered earlier, my lord. Ah, the blood on the accused overcoat. Hey, Toad, welcome in. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel? No, my lord. We know what he's gonna find. Well, there you have it. The report, please, Inspector. Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were the results of spattering following a gunshot. End of report. Goodness me! Yeah, but it says traces, not like copious amounts. See, what did I tell you? No, the blood on that coat is not Mr. Windibank's. What on earth makes you say that, counsel? The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Windibank's, McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood on that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case. Well, the dead cannot speak, isn't that right, my Nipponese friend? Sorry? 2 months ago, in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for McGilded's innocence? And yet, now that the man is dead, you brand him as a murderer? Your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have earned for yourself in this country. But that was... I call it a bally disgrace. Treachery, that's what it is. How to determine whether the blood on the coat is 2 months old or not? Even a stereoscope couldn't help the answer to that problem pop out. It can't be done. But we used Mr. Shum's specially formulated chemicals. Mr. Shum's is a detective, not a chemist. Would you put such faith in a chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer? I held out Peroziki to a starving boy, and he ran away crying. What does that have to do with anything? Herlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no more weight in this courtroom, or carries no weight in this courtroom. No weight at all. How could you say that? A victory is sweet indeed. The game is too loud. I can turn it down a little. This proves my testimony is the whole truth from start to finish. Alright, hang on one sec. Let me turn it down. Is that any better? Hopefully. I've had some issues with that advance. Okay, well, we'll keep going. Let me know if it's any better. How'd you arrive at such a conclusion, sir? As the witness said, the accused's coat was spattered with the blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly have known that fact is if he saw it happen. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what the deal is. It's just misbehaving. But hopefully it's not too distracting. It's the music for sure. I could try turning off the music. Let's see. I could turn the music off, but then it'll be very quiet. So I don't know. Is that like... we'll see. We'll see. In other words, his testimony is solid and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth. Ugh. My lord. Been a long battle, this one, but this old warhorse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman. As of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision. Ready, men? All for one now. They're all gonna be guilty. Sir! Of course. Man. It's just going back and forth. Well, it would appear the ladies and the gentlemen have reached a unanimous verdict. He's just gonna enjoy his wine. The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness's testimony. Here's to any attempt you may make at unpicking the jurors' decisions, being equally successful. Ugh. Do we have to poll the jury yet again? I don't believe it. After I've come so far. How is it all unraveling on me so fast? Alright. Do we get to question them again? Let's see. How very distressing. To be held in such low esteem. Who's saying this? Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruto? Officer, you've delivered the report now. That will be all, thank you. It occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruto. The scientific truths are determined not by science. Oh, is it shows in disguise? But by none other than the human mind. I know that voice. It's gonna be shows in disguise, isn't it? Am I going mad? It is, isn't it? I knew it. I knew it. Mr. Sholmes! Oh, what is the meaning of this? Order! 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 What business do you have here, detective? The last I heard you were recuperating in hospital. As well I would be, had I not been set upon an errand. What errand? Hurley, it's really you! You're awake at last! Yes, good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, if you will humor me. In what manner, sir? I have something of great importance I wish to give the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind as to spare us the time? What say you to this, Lord Van Zeets? He doesn't like it, but maybe he'll have to give in. This trial has taken many hours of the court's time, having spent so long already. Exactly, having spent so long already, we don't want to go wasting any more precious time. As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes. Oh, the prize turn? Shocker? Very well then, counsel, you have your 5 minutes. Oh boy. My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival. Mr. Sholmes, are you all right now? All right, I'm all wrong. Sorry? I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. But I fear even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me should I pass out. Let's make this discussion as short as possible. Hurley, this place is full of idiots. None of them can see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is. Ah, well, that concoction of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal by the scientific community, an oversight on my part. Right? Modesty? Surely not. But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow. What's that? A lavender furoshiki wrapping? A leaving present from Miss Susato. From Miss Susato? If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor. I don't understand. Miss Susato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means both devious and underhand, and that you, Mr. Naruhodo, fighting fairly as you are wont to do, would find yourself in considerable peril. And that at that very moment of our crisis, you were to be given this small parcel. Those were the dear lady's instructions. A leaving present from Susato-san? Whatever could it be? What is this? What is this? My question exactly? Oh, it's the machine I made. What? What machine? Cute kitty. Meow, cute kitty. Look, I used this. It's my latest invention. What is that? I call it the cat flap-o-mat. It can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. Oh, are we gonna make a peephole so we can prove what could be seen? What's Susie up to? I bet that's it. Miss Susato murdered the following words before she left. I am a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant. What? Did she say something like that? You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. I wonder how come? Whatever did she mean by that, Mr. Sholmes? That night when you left Windibanks in pursuit of the thieves, Miss Susato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. Oh, there was no peephole. There was there. She made the peephole. That is your answer, dear fellow. Not at all cryptic then. Susato-san used this cat flap-o-mat that night. But why? She made the peephole while we were chasing down the criminal. So there's no way Gina could have thrown the gun out. We need to check photos right now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is it, guys. This is the nail in the coffin. Yeah, you throw that wine in there. Your 5 minutes is over. We're out of time already? Oh boy. I'm grateful to you all for affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, Detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it now? Is it really? That's what I'm thinking? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile. Would it now? I wonder. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What's your plan? The rest is down to me. I need to be careful. If I make a wrong move, the trial will end badly. My lord, the defense requests. Let's look at the Let's look at the court record first before we say what we want. Let's look at our pictures. Let's look at... There's no peephole. There is no peephole at all. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is awesome. Absolutely. Now there's a peephole between 1 and 1:30. So between the time that the event happened, the peephole was created. We got it. We got it. Okay, what do we need? Further cross-examination. Okay, further cross-examination. Further cross-examination. The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now. The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness, rather to continue with one of an existing witness. What? It's what appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. Yeah, I was wondering why there would be a peephole there. My lord. Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel? No, my lord. Yeah, it wasn't ended, it was suspended. So nobody can say anything then. If Runo asked to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon, the court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd. I would remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity in concluding the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness's testimony and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it. We got that. A single chance to present evidence? If following that the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels? You will not press the witness any further. My lord. Yes, my lord. We got him, though. A single statement and a single piece of evidence? Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruto, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. Uh-oh. I leave this in your capable hands. Thud. Mr. Sholmes. Now Iris is gonna be worried about him. Oh, we got him. We got him now. To stand so how do you pronounce that? I can't pronounce that word. Before the court in a state of such high fever. Either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling. I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers. Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared? Yes, we are. We got it. Yes. One statement, one piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down, or Iris. We got it. And I won't waste this final chance that Susada-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial. Very well then, under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. Alright, final go through. The moment of the shooting again. Oh, while these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. When Winterbank threw Nash off the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole on the door, though. Now the question is, do we press this one or the one where she throws the gun through? I don't know. I think the gun, yes, you could say, you know, whatever. You could say, well, maybe there was no people, but you cannot throw the gun through a non-existent peephole, right? So maybe we do the gun one. The accused in a black coat shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. Alright. One piece of evidence. This one, right? There is no... We present this one. There's clearly something odd about that last statement made by the witness. Okay, there's clearly something. Your behavior. Okay, so that wasn't the statement. Oh, haha, please. Don't mind me. That would be significantly easier if you would lower your hand. Okay, so maybe it was the first one. I won't lower my hand until I prove my client's innocence as long as it's quick. Did we miss our chance? Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole and picked it up. Do we press this one? He said no more pressing, right? I don't understand. Do we have... Wow, okay, I'm just going to go to the next one and maybe we mess up. Maybe that's it. His lordship is only going to allow me to present one piece of evidence here. But it's clear what that piece of evidence should be. How in the world did Susie manage to sneak off with this without me noticing? And she used it in the pawnbrokery? Yes, at least that's what Mr. Sholmes said. I was only gone from the place for about 5 minutes when I went after the Skulkin brothers. What possible reason could Susada-san have had to use Iris's contraption in that time? Well, we already know. Could it be what she did with the cat flapomat completely changes one of the key premises this testimony is based on? Maybe it's the first statement we present on. Or is it, do we have the wrong evidence? Alright, maybe we have the wrong evidence, right? The peephole in the door. Maybe it's this one. Do we present this? What happens if we present this? Is this the right statement? What on earth is that eccentric contraption, counsel? Oh, it's my cat flapomat, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves. Ugh. But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do with the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. I beg your pardon, a peephole, you say? 2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windibank had taken place. That's right, according to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant did what? There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom. This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? Well, yes, how could you? What? So kindly say what you mean. Alright, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole to look through. Well, no! This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was... Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place by my judicial assistant using this device. Your assistant tampered with the crime scene whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions? This is a most serious act of vandalism. For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes that I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Riddled with, explain yourself, counsel. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back. However, if at the time of the incident, that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. Grr. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies. Ugh. He knows his lies are unraveling. He knows it. He feels the noose tightening. Order! 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 Is there any credence in this revelation? None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Exactly. This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door? Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors. That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second. Haha, I had a feeling you'd say that. What? Waggy, cooey, time for dinner. He could have cut the cat door in the courtroom door. Meow. Well,
Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak paneling at the Old Bailey. I'm not done yet. Don't worry. This doesn't mean that the people in the storeroom door at Windibanks was made by your machine. And there's no way you can prove that it was. Oh, really?
no, but it's easy.
What?
The cat flaps my cat flap-o-mat creates are all of a fixed size, and the dimensions of the people at Windibanks are an exact match.
Ugh.
Hehe, old Silky's lost for words.
Excellent work, Iris. Thank you. And now it's my learned student friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel.
I don't think so.
I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your eastern island home.
Well, yes, that's true.
Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all of the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the people has dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the people cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer. What is the purpose in this line of inquiry, Lord Van Zeeks? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device, but now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof. Ugh. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation. Oh, but we can prove it. What? Indeed, that is so, Lord Van Zeeks. Well, counsel.
Don't give up now, Bruno. And this is the time to create your own opening and force your way through.
I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Susada-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Very well, the counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the peephole in the door of Windibank storeroom was created after the event and not before. That would be this one now. What are you? A print from that detective's infernal cameras again? My judicial assistant, Miss Susada Mikitoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof. And the necessary proof is this photographic print, counsel. This print shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielded a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background. Let me see that print again. There's no door. I don't believe it. This really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description. Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done, because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. And you were told that if you perjured yourself, it was all over for you. In other words, your testimony is a catalog of lies. And defeated. Order! 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 I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness's testimony was entirely fallacious. That's not the only thing we now know beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with a crime scene. But more importantly... Good Lord, there's more, Lord Van Zeeks! The defense may establish a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Are you kidding me? Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene, it's true. And I was shot in the arm, it's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here. Oh, please, no. I don't believe this. But they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he is the culprit. Except, yes, we do. Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. Iris, you know what they say. There's no point in locking the cat's door after the cat has bolted. Isn't that right, Bruno? As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait, that might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories. She couldn't have thrown the gun out of a non-existent peephole. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there is a fundamental inconsistency in your statement. What? This is provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency. Iris was right. One lie begets another. He didn't know she was there. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witness's statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he should have known anything about. Namely, let's see. The peephole doesn't exist. The third gun. He shouldn't have known about the third gun because he said he saw it through the peephole. Right? The third gun. Do you have any idea what you're saying, my Nipponese friend? Absolutely. I've been studying English hard since I was a child. You failed to catch my meaning. The witness has admitted to removing the gun in question from the scene himself. Oh? Precisely who else but this man could have known of a third gun's existence? Okay, but he said she had the gun. Keep it up, Bruno. Chin up. What I'm trying to say is, yes, he had the third gun. She didn't. After the lengths Susada-san went in order to leave that last piece of evidence with me, in fact, perhaps I need to pursue the implications of that further. Then it might all become clear. There's still light in those dark eyes, I see. Will it do you any good, I wonder? This is a provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency. Iris is right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witness's statement. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about. Namely, maybe it is the peephole. Because it didn't happen until afterwards, right? The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Now, let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the people in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously, Has the cat got your tongue, witness? The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred. And once I returned to the shop, having failed to catch the 2 burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windibanks constantly carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, yes, of course. Place is chock full of pawned articles, and my lads have thoroughly examined them all. So I gave the order to have officers working around the clock in shifts so we get through it all. And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Unless you were told, maybe? Therefore, you should have known nothing about the peephole in the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable. And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door. How on earth is that possible? Can I have a word, please, Lord Menzies? Speak, Inspector. It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now to put in my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if it's all the same to you, permission denied. Oh. It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes. He's all about weeding out the corruption. Of course, sir. There's definitely something fishy going on here. Mr. Graydon, I think he told him. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else. Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications. Yes, but the defense believes the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who is the person in question, counsel? It's gotta be Gregson, right? Who gave the witness the details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony? I mean, it's gotta be him. He's the one that was talking suspiciously to him, right? Right? The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Me? You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider the facts that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learned of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed, preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communication station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea, no inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until such time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position, that he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information so that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin? Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson. This is a bloomin' outrage. Why would I be giving away details of our investigations to this fella, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Have you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery. Yeah, and angrily stress eating that food. Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed following the resource. Yes, but they were sitting here chit-chatting together, and we found that suspicious. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred. But they did! Ugh. Oh, I've just remembered something, Bruno. What is it, Iris? There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying. Exactly! Oh yes, now you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilded's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it! It was during that testimony. Yeah, they were sitting there talking. I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then. You little tow rag, you're making all this up. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke? Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. Is he in part of the selling secrets to the foreign countries? But perhaps I need regenerating food like he has. It was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense. What a deal, Counsel? I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. The second disc? I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance. It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is this Nipponese student's specialty. I don't do that. But with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim. Evidence? Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. Oh boy, it's going to be the second disc, right? If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it. Bruno, do you think it could be? Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. I must press you for an answer now, Counsel. What evidence explains the nature of the alleged deal that Inspector Gregson made with the witness? I mean, we don't have the second disc, so how are we going to prove it? The disc? Is it going to be this because it had a second disc in it? I don't know. We'll try it. We'll see. Inspector Gregson. Besides this murder, is it not true you've been working on another very important case? What are you getting at now, Sunshine? Hey, thanks for the follow, and Lauralan. Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? Oh, hey Nis, welcome in. Thanks for the follow. the classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice. How the bleeding Nora could you? We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Windibanks by Magnus McGilded, a special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. Oh, thanks. Thanks for the welcome in, all that. Thanks for the sub. I appreciate you. Awesome. Thank you so much. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the disc for the details of the case. You little... We got you now. Order, order, order! On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windibanks, you said this: I'll be taking that, whatever it is, of McGilded's down to the yard. Thank you very much. So hand it over. No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right, that Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. But I mean, not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness? Trying to abet this man in giving false testimony? There's no other way Mr. Graydon could have known of the existence of the people. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these 2 men. No! They've both been, like, judicially slapped across the face. If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom. Wait, what? In this room? Of course, because he hasn't left the room. How could you possibly make a claim like that? Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective. What? What's that supposed to mean, eh? As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly, he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement on this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand. Good gracious, then, you mean to say? Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession. He has the second disc actually on his person. The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once. Definitely! They could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before. And Grexy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector? Are you gonna give it up? This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. Did you hand it off? However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search. What? He's going to agree to it? I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded. That sounds serious. Indeed, to have a visiting student make such defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government would be able to overlook.
You're just threatening Bruno because you're scared.
The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences.
It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here.
Very well, counsel, you know the implications, so let me ask you one final time.
Yes, my lord?
Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects?
Alright, we'll redeem our hydrate. I don't think he has it on him. But we need to search someone else. But who? Because if he's so confident about him, he'd probably put it somewhere else. Who though? Yes, the defense formally demands the search to be conducted.
Well, don't say you weren't warned, but your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good.
Fair enough, I've got nothing to hide.
Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the inspector's personal effects, please.
The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson.
What?
Now, what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. Hey, Beefy, welcome in. Objection, exactly. We are playing Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We're like right here at the conclusion of the case. Like everything is super, hopefully we'll be able to tie this all together with a neat little bow. We'll see. This is the final case. Welcome in. No, Inspector. Not you. Somebody else.
But who?
What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it at last, have you, Sunshine? The court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. So, does he still have the disc? Be quiet, all of you. Who's saying it? Is it Iris? Bruno's doing what you all told him to do and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way.
Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words.
You what? Now, don't be hasty, my lord. If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has the disc at the moment. There's only one person who it can be.
Counsel, of whom do you request this search now?
Would it be... Wait a second. Would it be Sholmes? Would he have come in and gotten the disc when... Who else could it be? He hasn't left the stand. It could be one of them. But why would he give it to one of them? Could it be Sholmes? Because Sholmes pickpocketed the disc before, right?
He pickpocketed the other disc. That's how he was able to make the impression of it. And he was standing right beside Gregson. I could be so wrong about this, but let's say. Oh, okay, so that one was not right. Okay. That one was not right. Alright, so yes, we did it wrong. Who else could it be? Is it going to still be, Alright, so we have 2 more tries. If Gregsy doesn't have the disc at the moment, the question is, where could he have hidden it? The trouble is, he's been in the witness stand the entire time in full view of everyone in the courtroom. Not an easy situation in which to go about hiding anything, really. So there's honestly only one place he could have hidden it then. Perhaps in another person's pocket? Someone with him on the stand? Well, counsel? If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure I know who has that disc in the moment. Only one person it can be? Did he hide it back in the other guy's pocket? Did he hide it back in Graydon's pocket? I feel it's either Graydon's pocket. Oh man. He was standing beside. Oh man, there's so many. It could be him. Why would he put it back in his pocket? Maybe he put it in her pocket, but why would we demand her pocket be searched? Let's search. Let's demand his. Like, this could be going very, very badly. Mr. Ashley Graydon, my lord, the defense demands that he be searched at once. Very well. I presume you will not protest, Mr. Graydon. Au contraire. Okay. So what's going to happen? And so a brief body search was carried out by the court bailiff. A few short minutes later, it was revealed that Mr. Graydon had nothing unusual on his person at all. Oh man, we messed up. Ugh. Ugh. Darn it. We're down to our last shot. Well, counsel? Okay, so who is it then? Only one person it can be. I almost feel like it's gotta be Gina. Slipped it in her pocket. Because why would he give it... He's been standing next to this guy. Ugh. I'm so confused. There's so many... I feel there's so many possibilities. Is it gonna be Gina? She was standing there. But let's think. Why would he put confidential state secrets? Maybe he put it in her pocket because he thought... The answer is in your heart. Slipped it in his pocket to get off of him. So what I'm thinking is he's been standing next to this Skulkin brother, so maybe he could have done that. But wasn't he also standing next to Gina? So if he put it in Gina's pocket, then when she gets accused of murder, of course she'd get patted down and he'd be able to confiscate it back, right? Whereas he wouldn't really have an opportunity to do anything with Nash, right? I don't know. It was the judge? I don't know. It could only be one. So, but there's 2 Skulkin brothers. I kind of want to say Gina, but I'm so scared it's gonna be messed up. All right, we're gonna bite the bullet. We're gonna have to end up redoing all of this. It's gonna be like horrible. My lord. Okay, so yeah, we messed up. Alright, so it probably was the Skulkin brother. Alright, darn it. So now we lose it. We gotta redo it all. Blah, blah, blah. I wonder what checkpoint we have. Alright, so we lost it. Now it's gonna be declared guilty, sadly. All right, she's gonna be declared guilty, sadly. All right, we'll get back to it. So do we think it was the Nash Skulkin then? Because no one else was on the stand besides Sholmes was my first guess. And then yeah, Nash. Okay. See, the problem is saying there's only one obvious guess. There's not one obvious guess. Yeah, he could have done this, that, or the other, but it's not obvious, I wouldn't say. I'd say they're possibilities. Alright, so she's been declared guilty. We'll redo this again. Alright, we're just gonna skip forward. I hope it doesn't put us back too far, but we'll see how far back. Maybe it just puts us back at the previous little bit. Let's retry from this scene. Yes. So how far back is that? Let's see. Okay, good. So, if I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen at court again, I know who has the disc. And we get all our tries again. So let's try Nash. Because it also could be Van Zieks. Like, I don't know that they interacted directly, but maybe there was a moment. That would be, if it's not Nash, Van Zieks would be my next guess. But he also, I feel like, would have been more upright and forthcoming about it. Let's try this. Of my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin. Well, I never. Blimey, me? Am? Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effect. Please, my lord. Oh, we got it right. Inspector. Scotland Yard, has to object to this search. Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here. Eh? In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object. But Lord Van Zieks, I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. Thanks. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Ugh. Bailiff, carry out to the search. And the look on his face, he's like, was it me? Now, hold on a mo. I know nothing about no disc. Look at that sweat gleaming down. Cut it out. Here, my lord, in the witness's pocket. I found this. Good lord, that's another music box disc. I don't know nothing about it. Nothing. Oh man, Gregson. Everyone on that stand is guilty of something. That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilden. Is it not, Inspector Gregson? Ugh. Ugh. 4 guilty criminals, basically. Order! 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 Mr. Skulkin, what do you have to say for yourself? Gordon Bennett, just Gordon Flamin' Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc, honest. Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck between this witness and this detective, no? Without question, my lord. Then for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector traded for information? Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in this trial, oh, that's right, he was choking him. I forgot about that. He exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment. If I'd remembered that, that probably would have helped us out a bit more. I don't recall. What unusual behavior? It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Is this game on Steam? Yes, it's, or at least it was. I saw that they were splitting the games out. This one is the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, but this particular game is the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. So they may have split it out already. They said something about doing away with the bundle, so you might have to check for Adventures. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? I admit to nothing of the sort. Yeah, he was, like, shaking him violently. While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently. Yeah, he did and all. Thought me noggin was gonna clean fall off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother, I was. Oh, Chronicles. Oh, yeah, 60% off today. The summer sale's going on. Definitely worth snatching it up. And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that? I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me, whistle like that, and started shaking me. I don't think that's true. Why the blazes did you mention the third gun when we got you down to the station? That's what he said. Yelled it right down my ear hole, he did. Me head still throbbing now. Oh, because he couldn't give him a better story. That makes sense. The way the detective behaved was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc. Okay, now I understand. Well, bless my wig, he hid it. But I'm afraid I failed to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence. It would appear, my lord, the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. Hush-hush? A top-secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if the information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing there was a chance you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness. Does this mean? He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him, to slip the second disc into his pocket. So it was all a pretense? They are not happy. Well, now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit the accusations made against you of this alleged deal? Well, admit to it, yours truly, please. Mr. Graydon. Clearly, our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there is no proof that I passed the disc to the inspector. But then, how do you explain the reason you knew about the peephole? I am under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony. That I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder? Leaking government secrets? Striking a deal with the detective. all of this is the young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of that is about. You... What? Are we really going to be back to square one after all we've been through? Are you kidding me? Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon to acquire the disc? Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interest of the country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice. So, as members of the public of this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions. This is quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. Well, now, as a fellow servant of the Queen and country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector. Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred to me. Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really. Graydon is highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idols. Stop. Detective has very much trust in eyes. More than this I cannot say. I don't believe it. These 6 jurors they're going to believe Gregson if they declare their decision now. Is Ginny going to be found guilty? If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, we're going to lose. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windibank or stole those government secrets. Or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness. Well then, counsel, I think it's time I imposed on the jurors to declare their final decisions. No? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to the court. If I let the judge call on the jurors to announce their leanings, Gina will be found guilty. So there's no choice then, Runo. You have to throw some more evidence at them. This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against? Gregson or Graydon? Who do we present evidence against? What evidence do we have? What do we have? That was the files to be exposed. We have the disc, first disc. I don't know that that's going to help us. I'm so confused. What we would present. I have no idea what we would even present. Let's look at this again. Let's see. Acquittal due to insufficient evidence. I saw something from Scotland Yard. Let's see. We have the blood samples, pawnbrokers, Gina's representation. Yeah, that was this. Agreed to the legal representation by the lawyer named hereunder in regard to the following incident. Murder of the Baker Street pawnbroker. So that was to be able to represent Gina. We have the newspaper, but I don't know if that's going to help us. We have the autopsy report. The autopsy report says that when he was killed, between 1 and 1:30, single bullet wound in the upper half of the victim's back. No other visible signs of trauma. Instant death from a posterior anterior bullet wound to the heart. The bullet entered the body from the back on a gently rising diagonal trajectory. Nothing that implicates the inspector. Yeah, I think... Okay, so maybe we do evidence on Graydon then. We gotta find something for Graydon. Because he obviously is the murderer, and his story is full of holes. I don't know. We'll try Graydon. Mr. Graydon, there is one final piece of evidence I would like you to see. You misguided fool. Whatever you intend to show me now, you'll be wasting your time. I have nothing left to lose. I assure you, I will admit to nothing. This is my last chance. It looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here. One final piece of evidence to get him to admit to the deal he clearly struck on the stand. What would it be? What piece of evidence would we have? We have the autopsy report. Was it a deal to get him out of murder? Like, out of the accusation of the murder? Nibank's gun. Autopsy report. A single bullet wound from the back. I don't know that that's going to be like the BAM. Or is it going to be this? The newspaper that shows that secrets are being laundered? Sensational story. Ministry mole. Communications are being intercepted. I mean, maybe Lord Strongheart. I mean, maybe. I don't know. What else could there be? We haven't even used Iris's story. I don't even know what that is going to be for. What do we present? Do we present the newspaper? To get him to admit to the deal he clearly struck on the stand. Maybe that's what we need to present. We need to say, hey, you struck a deal because you were going to be going down for treason. And this was getting you a lesser deal? Or a lesser punishment, maybe? I don't know. What on earth is this, counsel? Irrefutable proof. Okay, it's not going to be. Irrefutable proof, my lord, of the corrupt dealings that went on between these two men. Of course not. Or perhaps irrefutable proof of the corrupt workings of my learned friend's mind. Ugh. Okay, so not that. Not the newspaper. Really, counsel, at this stage in the proceedings, I would have expected a more considered argument. Alright, so what's it going to be? The defense will be duly penalized. Alright, what would it be then? Only struck that deal at the very last possible moment when they were in the stand. What's more, there's no love lost between them, clearly. It was strictly business. If you think about it, murder and treason are both such serious crimes. Yes, punishable by death. So I don't think old Silky's going to admit to either anytime soon, do you? No, but Gregson, on the other hand, he is just refusing to admit what happened because he's been sworn to secrecy, out of a sense of duty. I wonder, if Gregsy's lips are sealed because he's determined to do his duty, then perhaps to prise them open, you're going to have to be determined enough to do your duty too, Runo. Of course, he'd do anything to follow his orders, so... The jury has indicated... Okay, so maybe it is Gregson, and we gotta find something. So what can we do? What do we have? Something that will get them to admit, right? Pawnbroker's ticket. I'm not sure. The scene of the crime. What do we got? They're both in there. What evidence do we have, even? We have the disc. Maybe that's all we need. Maybe? I don't know. We've already presented the disc before. That's the thing. I'm really not sure. What would we do? It was deposited before the black overcoat. Do we just... We've got 2 guns. There are signs of a single discharge. Is it Windibank's gun? I mean, how would that be? That something, a final piece of evidence to get him to admit to the deal he clearly struck on the stand. I mean, is it just going to be the other disc? Maybe? I don't know. I guess we could try it and see. I don't know how that would get him to admit it, because he's not going to admit to treason. But at the same time, Gregson is only concerned with this. Is that McGilda's Music Box Disc Council? Yes, the first disc of 2, which has already been placed in Mr. McGilda's special music box, ready to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with the second disc we just discovered set in place as well. Oh, we're going to force Gregson to admit it by playing both discs. Then he'll have to say, you can't do it because, yes, I made a deal. Goodness, this disc council. No, wait, I can't let you do that. Why not? But, because it's got nothing to do with this case, that's why. That's not a very good argument, my friend. Not true, Inspector. The defense has already proposed that the sound heard by the court earlier from this music box were a part of a Morse code message. We know that the Morse code comprises 2 distinct tones. The defense believes that the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message. And now we have a chance to confirm that theory. For crying out loud, Sunshine, we're talking about state secrets here. If you go letting the whole courtroom hear confidential information like that, it's treason. Then do you admit the charge? That in order to protect those state secrets, you engaged in unlawful dealings with the witness? You're mad. If you let that secret information out into the public domain, you'll be making an enemy of the entire British government, you idiot. Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness, that you continue to lie to the court, and all because, by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty. Well, by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine. Don't you dare! I will stop at nothing to protect my client. I don't care who I make an enemy of. He's just like, I'm just gonna eat some popcorn here. My lord, if you please, the court must hear the sounds made by that music box. Come on, Van Zeeks, for Pete's sake, stop him! Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I'm a prosecutor. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet. Ugh. In this courtroom, my duty is to the law, so let me propose a toast to uncovering the truth, by fair means or foul. No! Oh, that's hilarious. Very well, the defense's stance here and that of the prosecution has been made very clear, I feel. Therefore, in accordance with the defense's request, the court will now listen as this music box is set in operation once more. This time with the second disc in place and both discs playing simultaneously. Oh boy. It is Morse code. Oh, listen to that. It's unmistakable now. It's Morse code. I admit it. Whatever you want. But for the love of God, shut that bloomin' box up. Oh boy. We've done it. Everything has been tied with a nice, neat little bow. Let me ask you again then, Inspector Gregson. Did you, or did you not, strike a deal with the witness next to you in the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon? Specifically, did you furnish the witness with confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc? Did you reveal the existence of the people in the pawnbroker's storeroom door, Inspector? I did. And now he... Stop! What are you doing, man? It's all exactly like the young Eastern lawyer said. While the trial resumed after the recess and we were stood here in the stand together, that's when he approached me with the deal. Shut up, you imbecile! Shut up! Psst, you there. You're the detective who turned up at the pawnbroker the other day, aren't you? I may have something you're looking for, Inspector, with me at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept. Or information that may certainly make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed. I couldn't let that information become public knowledge, not under any circumstances. So I accepted the man's proposal and told him details about the case that should have put him in the clear. The peephole in the storeroom door and the bloodstains on the overcoat. By giving false testimony, this witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that. Yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury. I did. But then it turned out the peephole had only been made that night after the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, if I'm perfectly honest. Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? There's nothing and no one left for you to hide behind. You struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape conviction of a very serious crime. Namely this. You are the third intruder who broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor, Mr. Pop Windebank. You... Traitor! Uh-oh. He's gonna commit murder on the stand. What in the world? Bailiff! Bailiff! Restrain that man! At once! Boy, and that's it then. It's all over. What now? Dot 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 dot. Lots of dot dot dots. I despised my life growing up. Those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth, born into poverty. Who's speaking? Oh, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. So I set about studying to better myself, to one day escape from that hellhole. And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination. But then you decided to sell government secrets? Why? Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money. Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me in the small hours. I wanted to drown them out. with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. Then one day I met him, Mr. Magnus McGilded. "You're a fiend with a queer talent, so you are. I've money to throw your way if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with me a little plan now." I was to steal the ministry's telegraphic message logs, and McGilded would buy them for a handsome sum. As I was responsible for inspections of the ministry's communications office, it was a simple enough task. The lure of the devil's offerings, how easy it is to succumb. But you must have surely realized the seriousness of the crime you were committing. And for that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable. By using the music box. My father was a brickmaker, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child. Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton. Well, that's right. He was very skilled with his hands. He had once been a music box maker's apprentice. I imagined his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that could generate Morse code. So I sought out my father again, to employ his services. It was the first time I'd seen him since I left the slums 10 years earlier. Look at you, Ashley, what a fine gent you've become, eh? He was a different man to the one in my memory, a thin, frail old man. But poverty had never broken him, never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason. So I made up a story. "I've got some work for you, Father. I need some music box discs made." "Music box discs, eh?" "A musician friend of mine has written some music he wants to sell to the public. I brought the score with me. There are 2, actually." "I'd be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, though." "Fetch my tools, would you? They're in the loft." That's how I had him make the 2 discs, thereby splitting the information in 2. You were taking considerable precautions indeed. It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal with McGilded in 2 separate transactions. The first involved the first of the 2 discs and the music boxes for playing them. I exchanged them with McGilded for 10 guineas. Then, on receipt of the second disc, he would pay 1,000 guineas. So, what happened on the omnibus 2 months ago? Was the second part of the deal? The exchange of the second disc? Yes. I'd told the man information that way a number of times already. But it seems he became reluctant to part with his money. But that doesn't quite make sense, Mr. Graydon, for why was it on the omnibus 2 months ago? Your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with Mr. McGilded and not yourself. When I received the 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings with McGilded, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. But my father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious, and when he did, he said to me, "Next time there's an exchange, you'll let your old man do it, understand? Otherwise, I won't take your money anymore." That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilded. That's it. He had no idea what was actually on the discs I'd asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went so horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home. Oh boy. It was only then that I found out what sort of monster McGilded really was. So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore in my father's name. To exact revenge. Revenge? He's like, time for some more wine. As with anyone with even the remotest knowledge of the man will no doubt be able to imagine, McGilded brought all his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable ways to crush any semblance of justice in his trial. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, and witnesses were bribed. That trial 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish. My feet had barely touched British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest completely unaware of the sinister background to it all. That man goes through a lot of nice chalices? Exactly. I've made plenty of money out of my dealings with McGilded by then, so I spared nothing in my arrangements 2 months ago. I knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in this city willing to do anything you ask. McGilded himself had shown me that. Are you saying that? I think you have the picture now. After he twisted everything to his favor in this courtroom to ensure that he walked free, I took matters into my own hand and delivered the justice that monster deserved. That tragic accident following the trial here 2 months ago was planned and executed by yours truly. McGilded's death that day was caused by this man? Everything is ready, sir. I'd like you to follow me into the courtroom. What's this, officer? 'Tis sooner than I was led to believe. I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. It is time for the inspection. They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. So that policeman who came to tell McGilded he could examine the omnibus again? That's right, an impostor hired by me. McGilded used his wealth to manipulate the trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie in their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin, one of my sham policemen ushered McGilded inside and sent him on a one-way journey to hell. Oh boy. An eye for an eye. That's how I avenged my father's death. A spine-chilling account indeed. But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see. A loose end? Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with McGilded. Ah, yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial 2 months ago. Clearly because it had been removed from the scene of the crime. When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I dealt with McGilded. This is the first of the 2 discs and the music box you need to play them. Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guineas for ye, young man. Oh, what's this? Windibank's pawnbrokery? Aye, 'tis a pawnbroker's ticket, so it is. You can use it to redeem an article I've deposited there for you. There's no need to give a name, just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend the watchword. I put the jewel in pawn for you. I'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will. I've never heard of a pawnbrokery being used in quite that way before. Have you not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokeries are very useful places, you know. Each one is like an extremely secure vault. Dot, dot, dot. All the dot, dot, dots. So I knew that if he'd taken steps to hide the disc, it would be in that pawnbrokery somewhere, and that on the night he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone. Yes, to Gina. I remember now that when we first met you at Windibanks that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Miss Lestrade written down. How did you know who you were looking for? From the child. That pickpocket's testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone could see that. I realized immediately that she was another of McGilda's pawns, that he must have threatened her somehow. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket, so I started to make some inquiries. I had a strong suspicion the girl would come out of the woodwork on the redemption deadline. And he was absolutely right. And yes, sure enough, she did. All I needed to do was wait until the girl went to Windibanks to redeem the articles. But unfortunately, she redeemed only McGilda's overcoat and the one disc that was in its pocket. The all-important music box with the second disc inside was still missing, because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier. But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion. Meanwhile, our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing. We had picked up on the fact that McGilda was involved. Inspector, you've recovered fast. My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible, so we started gathering the fellow's possessions and examining whatever we could lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going on at the yard, but we had to keep it as quiet as we could. Then, when the inspector took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure the music box and the second disc were still there in the shop somewhere, so I knew it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did. So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night, with the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers. What happened that night in the pawnbrokery I can only describe as a nightmare. While Nash and Ringo were searching the counter, I'd located the music box I'd sold to McGilda on the shelves of forfeited articles. And the second disc was inside. Yes, I slipped it into my pocket with a very deep sigh of relief. But then, something entirely unexpected happened. What are you doing in my shop? Goodness. A gunshot rang out of the shop, and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm. The broker fired his gun, and the bullet pierced your limb. Yes, exactly, but unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case. So he shot back. Before I knew what was happening, I had fired back. The man had already turned to flee. I hadn't intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit home. It struck him in the middle of his back as he fled through the storeroom door for refuge. A sorry, sorry tale. It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Ash and Ringo even realized what had happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. And that's the whole story. And it's everything that happened at Windibanks on that wretched night. Boy. Everyone's digesting all this. They're just like, what even in the world? How convoluted. Well, I think we have sufficiently declared Gina innocent. I don't see how it could be anything else at this point. You have a full confession. Earlier, you called McGilda a monster, a man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crime of murder. What tragic irony, for what you have done is exactly the same. I think he realizes that now. You've become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded. Yes, I think I have. Oh man. Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial. However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon? He's been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Windibank and the stealing of government secrets. Very good. And you, Inspector? Regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself. Yes, my lord, of course. It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. That fact remains, whether or not you were doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable. Now to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Yeah. It is time for the final adjudication. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Yes, sir! Guarded Squadron standing by, sir. This is really it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver their verdicts. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will now declare your final decisions to the court. Now everybody declares her not guilty. Yay! Yay. That's the stuff. I'm off the hook. Finally, Bruno, you managed to do it. Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd come out on top for a while there. Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world. Miss Lestrade, I am not finished with you yet. Eh? What are you looking at me like that for? Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider. Eh? 2 months ago in my courtroom, no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? And in relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Windibank's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGilded's property, it seemed. Eh? I never done nothing of the sort. Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGilded's coat in your cell yesterday or anything. Oh, and just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Ginny this evening. And in turning our attention to the defense, determining that, when played together, the music box disc contained a message in Morse code was, well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, counsel. Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast to demanding the government secrets be disseminated before the entire courtroom. Okay, well, way to give a backhanded compliment there. Very sorry about that. It was the only way I could get Inspector Gregson to admit what he'd done, so... If I may say something on that point, isn't that... It's, about the sounds produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all. What? What are you saying, madam? Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much so that the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes to me, in fact. Goodness, madam, an unhealthy level of obsession, one feels. I must say that, in my opinion, the sounds produced by those two discs are nothing more than that. A meaningless series of two different tones. What? Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all? my lord, the defense would like to listen to the music box again. Are you off your nut? How many times do I have to tell you those discs contain ministerial secrets, Sunshine? This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of government communications. We know McGilded conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies, secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. And now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue the matter further. Ugh, what is really going to bother me? Miss Lestrade. Yeah, my lord? That which you have seen today here in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing. Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a grim catalogue of depravity. An appalling experience to befall any child. Come on, it ain't nothing I don't see most days in the back slums. I beg your pardon? If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Gina? But look, I reckon I've worked something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you want it to change, you've got to start at home. You've got to change how you are yourself. Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I eagerly look forward to the born-again Miss Lestrade never gracing my courtroom with her presence again. Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Winterbank, proprietor of a pawnbrokery business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, not guilty. Yay! Huzzah! Firing a gun in courtroom. Awesome. That is all. Court is adjourned. Hey everyone. Yeah, I'm hurrying. Alright. We're almost done here. What's he gonna say? On a personal note, I must say, you've surprised me, my far eastern friend. Oh! Despite being a Nipponese, you saw through the pretense of the malice that festered within that Englishman. And at the same time, you saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your English client. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures. I don't think there's anything curious about it. Whether we're from the Empire of Great Britain or the Empire of Japan, we're all human beings. We're not so very different on the inside. You know, I took this case for one very simple reason. To lock swords with you once again, here in this courtroom. You did? When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me of toasting friendship and trust with another Nipponese, only to find my trust betrayed. Through you, I hope to look into the eyes of the man I once knew and try to understand. I see that, Knight. You mentioned something earlier today about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly? Well, you may ask. And one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not. Alright, then I'll wait for that day if I must. I want a retrial. This trial took long enough. We don't need a retrial. Coming to be known as the Reaper of the Bailey and my retirement from service 5 years ago. It gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose.
Thanks for the sub! It gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. Wow, 6 gift subs, thank you. That was amazing. So, farewell, my learned Nipponese fellow, until we meet again. Wow, thank you again. All the gift subs. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And welcome, welcome. 17th April, 5:24 p.m. The Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. It's done. It's over at last. But where's Iris disappeared to? Congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent. So you gotta give us the snub. Well, you did what you said, Mr. Odo. You believed in me right up to the end. You're as odd as your name. What's odd about it? I told you I had faith in you, didn't I? Well, no one ever asked before, see? Kept a promise, I mean, properly. That's awful. I figured something out today. All my life, growing up in the slums, I've never trusted no one. But that's just because I've been scared of being stabbed in the back. I mean, the more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down. Yeah? Yes, I think I can understand that. After all, I had a taste of that in that trial 2 months ago. I chose to trust someone and paid for it. That betrayal left a big scar. You know though, Gina, I worked something out quite recently too. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. And when your gut tells you it's the right thing to do, and your trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank of reminding me of that valuable lesson. Oh, well, if you say so. Don't make a fat lot of sense to me, though. I'm trying to say that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure. For crying out loud, pack it in! But I suppose I sort of feel the same way. I mean, sometimes trusting someone else is, you know, alright. Thanks. This is the way I see it, Ryunosuke. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. After this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean. Kazuma, am I living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer you believed I could be? Pardon the interruption. Who's that? Oh. But what the deuce does a man have to do to be noticed around here, my dear fellow? That voice! It's too late for that voice now, Mr. Naruhodo. I've been standing here patiently in the corner of the room for an eternity. Ah ha ha! Yes, it was me all along. I would have said when you finally noticed me. But you people, with your incessant babbling! Mr. Sholmes! Ah ha ha ha! Yes, it was me all along, you see? That guy, my goodness. I'd assumed you'd been taken back to the hospital, to be honest. Indeed I was, but I managed to escape again. Oh. I happen to be aware of 1 or 2 foibles of the doctor who was tending to me. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me with a leave of absence. How very above board. But enough of my adventures. That was a fine victory, Mr. Naruto.
Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I feel. Congratulations are in order. As a close friend, I tip my hat at you. Oh, thank you. Humph. Some great detective you are, great at being cold as ice, maybe. Have I irked you in some way, Miss Lestrade? While you've been having a snooze in your nice soft bed, some of us have been fighting for our lives. Ah, well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, it's true. So I have indeed been feeling somewhat cold. Not perhaps as cold as ice, but, well, have a feel. Could you take your hands off my neck, please, Mr. Sholmes? And in some way, I suppose congratulations are in order for you too, Miss Lestrade. What's that supposed to mean? Why so half-hearted? Well, naturally, it isn't my intention to alarm you, but... An acquittal in a trial with that particular prosecutor is perhaps a little precarious. Well done, Mr. Sholmes. Not alarming in the slightest. Oh, the Reaper, you mean? Cause anyone who's found not guilty in a trial he was working on winds up dead anyway, is that it? The very point I was trying to make. As exemplified by the fate of Mr. McGilded, in fact. Ah, but of course I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself. Yeah, well, it don't bother me. Oh, really? Of course not. The way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like him upstairs. Him upstairs? You mean like God? Yeah, him upstairs knows what's what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. He won't have got the wrong end of the stick. There are some coves like that bog trotter what are rotten to the core. At the end of the day, him upstairs makes sure they get what they deserve. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Divine justice is one thing, though. The Reaper taking matters into his own hand and claiming lives is another. Well, I ain't like the McGildeds of the world, so I ain't scared. I got principles, see? Yes, she does. A trait in you which is to be admired, Miss Lestrade. Alright, just get a rest, alright? As I was saying, congratulations are in order. The news of your acquittal was very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina. Well, there you are, Hurley. How long have you been here? I love how he just completely falls over. Honestly, I went to the main entrance especially to meet you there. Iris, my dear, I do apologize. But wait until I tell you what happened. This pair made utter fools of themselves. What happened? As you know, I have a penchant for disguise. I was hiding in this room dressed as a bailiff. But these dolts didn't notice my presence at all. They had no idea. Can you imagine, Iris? Would you credit it? I'm not sure, really. I beg your pardon? I'm sorry, Hurley, but you just don't have the weighty presence you seem to think you have. Ouch. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's going to land you in trouble one day. Oh, I'll be careful. Ouch, exactly. Ouch, exactly. Anyway, it's such a shame. I was so hoping to throw a party for Ginny tonight. But you won't be able to come, will you? Don't look like I'm gonna be going nowhere for a while. You heard the judge's patter. I got stuff to make amends for, apparently. All them offenses. What was it again? Breaking and entering, taking the bog trotter stuff, what was in lug, blah blah blah. Yes, I think you'll find that basically being a pickpocket is the main offense. But diving ain't an offense, it's a job, isn't it? I don't think so. No, indeed not. Still, it has got me thinking all this. Maybe I should start looking for another line of work. That is a great idea. I mean, you didn't start off as a lawyer, did you, Odo? Well, no, but I was never a pickpocket. Well, anyway, I reckon I can make a change. I'm gonna do something for all them lot like me from the slums. Something that makes a difference for them. That's a great idea. That's a wonderful idea, Jeannie, and I'm sure you can do it. What is it? Oh, is she crying? Nothing. It's okay. Miss Gina Lestrade. The prison carriage has arrived. Ma'am, come with me to the rear gate at once. Right. Well, looks like I'm off then. Yes, goodbye, Gina, and good luck. Odo? Yes? Wait, are you giving us a goodbye shot? What was that for? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, so... Ah, indeed. Perhaps the situation calls for a phrase hitherto missing from your vocabulary, Miss Lestrade. Eh? On occasions such as this, I would recommend a simple thank you. Oh. Oh, yes. It's good advice, Jenny. Is she gonna say thank you now? Right, I see. Well, is it difficult? She's got to struggle with it. Oh, she took her hat off. Thanks, Odo. Oh, she cried. Wait, she's happy. Thank you for everything what you've done, for believing in me. That's the best expression ever. Not at all. In fact, that should be my line. Thank you, Gina. Wow. That's awesome. Well, she's off to prison, I guess. Well, there she goes. I wonder if I'll ever see her again. Well, well. Quite the indomitable pick purse. Oh, I nearly forgot. I brought a paper outside. It's a special edition, and this trial is all over the front page. Pickpocket's innocence proven. Isn't it wonderful? You should have shown it to Gina, Irish. She would have been thrilled. Oh no, how silly of me. But anyway, would you like the good news or the bad news? Ugh, not again. Well, what do you say, Bruno? Hurley? As usual, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Absolutely not. I have no intention of listening to anything but good news. And there you have it. How people answer that question says a lot about them, doesn't it? Let's not go there. Alright then. Maybe let's start with the good news this time. The rain has finally stopped. It was a record level of rainfall, apparently. Well, that is good news indeed. We can journey back in greater comfort. Alright then, what's the bad news? The huge storm has left the seas very choppy. The channel in particular is awful, so sailings out of Dover have been delayed by a day or more. Wait, Dover? That's right. If we head to the station immediately, we may still make it in time to wave Susie off. Oh boy. But there won't be a train, surely. We couldn't be that lucky. Who do you think I am, Mr. Naruto? Mr. Sholmes? I rushed to Victoria Station early. I made arrangements for a special express. If we hurry now, we shall be there in time for dinner. And I know of a fine restaurant that serves the most delicious baked sole. I don't... The great detective does it again. Indeed he does. I happen to be aware of a number of the rail transport director's foibles. What? I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily laid on the locomotive. Elementary. Just an idea, but it might be wise to stop manipulating people that way.
What are we waiting for then? To London, Victoria!
Oh boy, off we go? Are we going to get to see Susato again? 18th of April, 5:32 a.m. The Port of Dover, quayside. That took somewhat longer than I had anticipated.
Susie's boat must be about to leave now.
Miss Susato, where are you? Oh, there she is. Over there, look! Looks like she's reading something.
Hold it!
Yeah, what's she doing? Miss Susato, wait! What are you doing?
Mr. Naruto, what are you doing here?
We came as soon as we could after the trial. I mean, we heard that sailings were being delayed due to bad weather, you see.
Oh, I see. And then tell me, how did Gina's trial go?
It went well. She was acquitted.
That's wonderful. Really wonderful news.
She's so happy about that. It was her. She saved the trial. The book you were about to throw into the sea. It was your Encyclopedia of British Law, wasn't it?
Oh dear, I was hoping you hadn't seen that. I'm not worthy of practicing law in any way now. So I was saying my final farewell.
You were saying goodbye to law? You, Susato-san? Would I be correct in assuming it's because of the people, Miss Susato?
I deliberately altered the scene of a crime, and then I tried to hide the fact. What I did is utterly unforgivable. That reminds me. How did you even come to have this, Susie? On the evening of the incident, Mr. Sholmes had invited Gina to dinner, if you remember.
Oh yes, we had a wonderful time.
Well, Gina gave us a little introductory lesson, didn't she? To the art of pickpocketing, I mean.
Oh, that was so much fun. I stole Rudo's armband. Yes, please don't do that again, Iris. The band's very important to me. Well, if it's so important, you should pay more attention to it. You didn't notice it for ages.
On a whim, I thought it would be fun to see if I could take the cat Floppomat, so I put it up my sleeve.
Really?
And then I rather forgot about it, until I found myself in Mr. Windibank's shop with it later that night.
I see.
And then...
She made the hole? Oh yeah, those guys ran out.
Ah! Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes!
Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo! Right. And then he goes to chase the criminals down.
After Mr. Naruhodo left the shop, I started to think. That door started to play on my mind.
The storeroom door, you mean?
Yes. If Gina was anywhere in the shop, I realized it could only be behind that door. And at that moment, the little device that I had up my sleeve sprang to mind. I was so worried about Gina, I simply had to know.
So you use the cat flap-a-mat to make the peephole in the door, as captured in a photographic print of the shop by one of Hurley's red-handed recorders. Indeed, it was of first importance, that point. Precisely when the peephole was made, that information would prove to be Mr. Naruto's greatest weapon. Though naturally without proof it would have amounted to nothing.
But when I looked through the hole in the door, the sight that met my eyes made my blood run cold. Thoughts started to run through my mind. I remembered that trial 2 months earlier.
The trial of Magnus McGilded.
I thought about how he had manipulated the evidence and arranged false testimony to secure his freedom. It made the British justice system feel very dark and sinister to me. And then, a terrible thought occurred to me. What if some wicked criminal was planning to do the same thing now? Because from the appearance of the crime scene, it looked exactly as though Gina had shot Mr. Windibank. Even though I was sure she would never have done such a thing.
You were worried that the true culprit would try to frame her for the crime.
That's right, but then I realized it would be very difficult for anyone to give false testimony in this case.
What do you mean?
Well, the crime appeared to have happened behind the door of a locked room. For someone to claim falsely to have witnessed it, there would have to be a way to see beyond the door.
Ah. For which a peephole would be the very thing.
Only the peephole I had made wasn't actually there until after the crime had been committed, of course. And the criminal would know that, so it wouldn't make any difference.
But the possibility of a rather ingenious trap was there, was it not? A trap? Is that why she did it?
So is that why you kept it a secret, Susie? You never mentioned that you made the peephole to anyone, not even to the police. I know, and I knew at the time what I was doing was wrong, a criminal offense even. That's why I decided to confide in Mr. Sholmes. If Mr. Naruhodo was completely backed into a corner, with no other possible means of escape, the truth about the peephole could save him. That was my plan.
She really does think of everything. But then, why didn't you just tell me everything before the trial began? My dear fellow, you're not thinking straight. If she had done that, it would have rendered you complicit in the whole escapade. Ah, okay. You could have been disbarred if you had been seen to have knowingly tampered with a crime scene. So Mr. Sato decided to shoulder the burden of responsibility alone, for your sake and Miss Lestrade's. Mr. Sato.
The truth is, when it happened, I did it because I'd lost a little of my faith in the law.
Oh.
I was worried that the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime. But the moment I allowed myself to think that is the moment I lost my right to call myself a judicial assistant.
Don't know about that. What you did isn't comparable to what he did. Graydon is the one who lied in the witness stand, using that peephole as a way to implicate Gina. And besides, if the peephole inconsistency hadn't existed, I'm not at all sure that she would have been acquitted in the end. Mr. Sato, what you did saved Gina's life.
Well, with your kind words, Mr. Naruhodo, you've saved me too, from my regrets.
She's happy again? Yay. Well, we must all be thankful that Miss Lestrade's freedom has been assured. Yes, exactly. Although some of the loose ends in that trial will continue to play on my mind, I'm sure.
But the revelation that the music box disc contains secret messages, Mr. Naruhodo. What a triumph to work that out. I'm full of admiration.
Well, actually, that argument wasn't quite as compelling as I thought it was.
Oh, it wasn't?
There was a communications officer among the jury members, you see, a telegraph operator. And she said the majority of the sounds on the disc were just meaningless tones. As one would expect, after all, we are talking about secret government communications. No doubt they were written in cipher to avoid being readily understood should they have been intercepted. In cipher? I see. So then we could never have hoped to understand the message anyway. Nonsense, my dear fellow. It's quite a zero-pipe problem, I assure you. Dot. A. So, a shogi? What?
Well, that can't be a real word, can it? How funny. Wait, Iris, what did you just say? Oh, I just said a shogi. Does that word mean something to you?
Mean something? A shogi was the name of my best friend.
What? But how? How do you know that name, Iris? I wrote it down during the trial before, when the message was playing on the music box.
She transcribed it on the fly? She really is a genius.
I thought the message probably wouldn't be written out in plain Morse code, so I tried various ways to interpret it. But whatever I tried, the words just didn't seem to make any sense. That is, in English at least. Oh. It suddenly occurred to me, you see. There's more than one Morse code, not just the English variety. Various countries around the world have altered and added to Morse code to use in their own languages.
I don't believe it. Are you saying...
That's right. I've only actually seen a chart of Japanese Morse code once before. But I think it's based on the Aroha program, isn't it?
And you mean to say that in Japanese Morse code the message says a shogi?
Yes, I think so.
Sorry, I don't remember all of the Japanese Morse code.
Iris, would you let me see that?
Mr. Sato, do you know it? Do you know Japanese Morse code?
Yes, I spent some time studying it. Because I'm quite sure Morse code will become ever more important for international communications.
Then might I recommend, my dear madam, that you focus your efforts on the English version?
Be that as it may, Iris, show me the message, please.
Of course. What's it say? Let's see. Is she going to interpret it?
But what can this possibly mean?
Whatever is in that long sequence of supposedly meaningless dots and dashes, it's made the color drain from Susato-san's face. Uh-oh, what is it?
There's no doubt that this message is written in Japanese Morse code.
So the British Empire has been using Japanese for its secret communications?
I don't understand the reason why, but the message appears to be a list of 4 people's names.
4 names?
The first is Kei Ashogi.
Kazuma Ashogi. Why? Why was his name on that disc?
The second is A. Shin.
Shin? I don't recognize that name.
The third is T.
Gergson. Gregson? It would seem Tobias Gregson is the 3rd man on the list. And what's his name doing in a secret government communication as well? What in the world?
And the last name.
Is it gonna be us? What's the matter, Miss Sato?
It's just so strange, so unexpected. Oh, what is it, Susie? Don't keep us in suspense. The last name is J. Wilson. What?
Wilson?
John H. Wilson? You mean Daddy? It says only J. Wilson, so I'm afraid I can't be sure. Then after the 4 names, it reads, if I translate from Japanese, that is all 4. And that's the end of the message. Or rather, the end of what you noted down, Iris.
I just can't believe it. Who would ever have thought that those discs contained Japanese Morse code? Not to mention a strange list of some disturbingly familiar names. It would appear that this particular message is a communication of some kind between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan.
So Daddy could be in Japan then,
Where Susie and Bruno come from.
Oh, well... no, it's not very likely, really, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson, and there must be lots of J's among them.
Professor John H. Wilson, visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yumai University. Well, we can't tell Iris about that now. We can't. This is so strange. Somehow, in solving the case of Mr. Windibank's murder today, I feel like I've rolled back a boulder at the mouth of a very dark cave.
I do wonder if perhaps it's a dark cave that we shouldn't go wandering inside.
Perhaps? Uh-oh, Susie's gotta go. Time to go, Susato.
Oh dear, the ship is going to set sail soon.
Yes, it seems so.
I'll sail on that steamship first to the port of Dunkirk in France. Then I'll change onto a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan. You're really going then, Susie?
We wish you a safe passage, Miss Susato.
Thank you so much. I wish all of you the very best.
Miss Susato, I had hoped to have you always at my side to guide me and support me.
Mr. Naruhodo,
Please, come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world. Aw, we made her cry?
I'm quite sure I'll be back before you know it. Really, Susie? Oh, now don't forget, Iris. I made you a promise I've yet to fulfill.
A promise?
About your manuscript.
Ah. Oh yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Well, I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise. Definitely, Iris.
I think we've given her good memories to go back with.
Mr. Naruhodo,
Yes?
do you remember the first time we met?
Yes, of course. On the SS Buria, when I was dragged out from that wardrobe, still half asleep. If I remember rightly, you threw me halfway across the cabin with a Susato takedown.
You know very well that I'm talking about after that. It's strange, but being thrown together as we were in that case, I somehow felt straight away that you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy.
Miss Susato.
And my instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that. I'll be back soon. Farewell until then. Farewell. Bye.
They're sailing. They're off. They're off. Off they go.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least.
Bye.
Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey.
I definitely can't pronounce his name correctly. I've just come to
Fate led me
realize
to
that.
becoming a lawyer, to traveling halfway around the world, to meeting the great detective. I'm sure there'll be trials and tribulations ahead. Of course there will.
But
But whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around.
yay! He's over there playing his violin.
After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
Oh boy. And she's off. Just like that. Oh boy. Uh-oh, what's going on now? Ah, yes, Mr. Naruto. Yes, Mr. Sholmes? I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue over the special express train, apparently. Huh? Does he need a lawyer? It caused such a commotion on the line. All the other trains had to wait at stations. But really, we would never have made it to Dover in time otherwise. Anyway, I explained everything and how it was all your fault. What? Huh? Huh? I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow. But not to worry, my dear fellow, according to Mr. Sato. You love defending yourself in court. Huh? 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 It's all right. I'm perfectly happy to testify. He really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See? What? Mr. Sholmes? Yes? A word, if you don't mind. Why, certainly. Anywhere you like. Bellow it out, my dear fellow. Oh, yes. I love Bruno's words, and I know just the one he'll use here. Then I really must say... Exactly. For real, for real, for real. Oh boy. Now you get to watch the credits, my guys. This has been an awesome experience, I have to say. Definitely one of the best stories. In the following weeks, hundreds of music boxes arrived at Baker Street from all over Europe. Something was afoot. Though it transpired I had ordered them all myself. So I advertised them for sale with used by Mr. Sholmes to solve an important case. And the money I've earned consulting detective work pays a pittance by comparison. Always trying to find ways to make that buck there. What a guy, what a guy. Oh, Iris. I haven't slept a wink. This manuscript is due tomorrow now. When I'm this busy, Hurley usually cooks me breakfast. Well, cooks is an overstatement. For some dry toast and insipid coffee. I do miss Susie and her lovely Japanese breakfast. Aw. It's okay. Susie said she'd be back, so we'll just have to wait and see. Witness, your testimony is riddled with contradictions. Exactly. Rarely do rare Corbin coins hide under rare stakes themselves. Well, I don't know, son knows his father is an innocent man. Or are you calling my son a liar? Witnesses, my courtroom is no place for your petty arguments. Man, all the original characters. It's great. It's like a flashback from the very first case.
Having delivered the Russian dancer to shore in Shanghai, I laid low on the steamship for a while. But last night I apprehended an extremely suspicious Japanese national on board. I've done nothing wrong! All I did was give Wagai's offspring refuge in my pocket. A man brings some kittens on board, and suddenly he's a hardened criminal. It's not fair! That guy, oh my goodness. I remember him, all his tears. It was great. Scientific investigation will be the gold standard for policing in the new age. I dream of a world governed by the tenets of order and discipline. Like a great clock, in fact, whose hundreds of parts mesh together in perfect unison. Indeed, so he can, keep track. Now, if you excuse me, I have but 2 minutes and 37 seconds until my next appointment. Always down to the second with him. Man, I'm really curious how the next game is going to compare to this one. Because this one has just been amazing. The latest Rance magazine is out, and I'm in it again. Whatever I say, that one line she wrote, now I get a standing ovation. Want to hear it? Sure. Huh, not bad, I suppose, for an amateur. Glug, glug, glug. Gotta drink her tea. Are you in a better mood now, Gregson? Ha! Her ladyship puts me to shame. Well, hopefully you won't be committing any more crimes, sir. No more crimes for you. Who do we get to see next? Oh, you. Been visiting the old girl on a daily basis, of course. Joni and my old jailbird. Must say, battling with those bally stares every day has done wonders for the dicky peg. Managing rather well with housework, too. Got this maid business taped up, I'd say. Hope the gossiping neighbors don't realize the man of the house is his own maid. I mean, you do you. Sometimes you need to do a little more just to feel accomplished around the place, right? My Rolly is back on the beat again, all thanks to the Reaper. There's nothing I enjoy more these days than hunting out small change in the gutter. I'm a better Bobby now, looking out for Londoners, their dropped hat pennies, and my lovely wife. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Oh, please. My goodness, those guys. They got them stars in the eyes. Looks like I'm going to be doing time for a bit now. But ours comes every day for an hour, so it ain't too boring. She is always going on about all them cases what Sholmes is looking into. Criminal investigations are kind of interesting when you get into them. Well, yeah, when you're on the other side of the law, I imagine they are, Gina. Maybe that'll be your new thing. Maybe you'll be a detective. I mean, it'll still involve sneaking around, but, on the side of good this time. Yes, I renounced my upbringing and chose a life of sophisticated crime, but regrets? Please. Give over, bruv. That ain't the Ash we used to know. We got time in here to plan the comeback of Milverton and Skokin's milk run, right? The Three Muskowatsits. Milk in the neighborhood for all it's worth. I mean, I don't think that's the best use of your time in jail, but you do you. I mean, don't let me stop you. Who's next? Is this Sada-san?
This past 6 months has been a time I shall remember forevermore. Painful goodbyes and wonderful encounters. I've come to realize that's what life's all about. Naruhodo-san, I promise, your assistant will return to you one day. But for now, I leave you with many memories and a heartfelt wish that life will treat you well.
Well, she definitely did that for sure. Now we're gonna zoom in. Yep, it's the group. There we go. Awesome. That's nice. Gotta love it. Everyone's just having a good time. That was awesome. I love that so much. What's gonna happen now? Is there gonna be more? Or is that it? Okay. So I want to know what the story with him is. Like, why was he in the why was he in the confidential papers? Like, was his murder actually like a hit? Is Kazuma like targeted specifically for some reason? It really makes me wonder. Like, and also I'm very curious if they're gonna pick that up in the next game after this, and I'm sure they will. Like, they're not going to just leave that hanging. And then, like, that lady, she was mighty suspicious, and we never really heard from her after the case, but she was definitely involved in Iris's, I mean, she was the murderer of Iris's dad. So what was the deal with that? And how is Iris going to react when she finds out that her dad is dead? Or at least we're pretty sure that it's her dad. Because, I mean, that's going to just be a whole bunch of drama all in itself. But I think it's amazing how, like, all of these cases just, like, tied together. And, like, the story was, like, each case was its own story. But then there was a story from start to finish. And that was really satisfying. That's the same way it was when we played Tyrion Cuthbert. And obviously Tyrion Cuthbert was made after this game. So, like, I really like that concept, though, of how you have the one story and then you have it continuing on, and it just keeps going. And yeah, I don't know what happened to the ballerina. Like, she just now... I noticed Kazuma is gone. Is that because, like, at this point he is now dead and he can't continue on? Makes me wonder. Like, are we just kind of reenacting the whole story? She's gonna give him the sword, and we're gonna see what happens. Now he's continuing on with the sword, Kazuma's sword. I think he did Kazuma honor. I think it was good. He definitely brought honor to the profession for sure, because I mean, he won all his cases. I mean, you know, did the best he could, believed in his clients. Yeah, we're going through the timeline of all the different cases. This is now case number 3, where we had that crooked guy here, where he was actually guilty, but we got him off because he cheated the system. I knew he seemed mighty suspicious. Like, I couldn't quite place my finger on it, but yeah, I was like, something isn't right with that guy. He shouldn't be like wah-ha-haing like that, you know. If he was on the up and up, like, good guys just don't do that. They don't behave like that. Now we're back to Gregson and his never-ending chips. And then these guys tampered with the crime scene. Like, he didn't get very much punishment for tampering with the crime scene, but they really got into Susato for tampering with the crime scene. I don't know why, but... And then here we go. We're on to the final case. We're picking up Iris. Here comes Iris. She's going to join us. Come on, Iris. Follow along. Yep, I knew it. I knew she was going to come along with us. I think Susato is going to have to drop off at some point in time here, though. And there's the Reaper of the Bailey. And these two chuckleheads. Yeah, they're all doing their weird little dance thing. But we did finally manage to get Gina off the hook, so mission accomplished, you know? Like, that was the goal, and we managed to do it. So look how happy she looks here. Like, I have never seen her smile. That was the best picture ever, the most rewarding part is just seeing her smile and be happy like that, and actually getting some faith back in humankind once again. Like, she no longer just thinks everyone is trash. She knows some people actually will have your back. You just have to find the right people. So now Gina has people. And Iris definitely keeps her faith in her for sure. And there we go. Everyone's got to do their pose. That was awesome, guys. It is done now. Finally, we have finished the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. I am beyond impressed. Like, it was amazing. I love it so much. Man, that was definitely an amazing experience. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this whole experience through the whole. This was the Great Ace Attorney Adventure. So it's the first game of Chronicles. There is a second game which we will be playing next, which I assume will be the continuation of this story. I don't know what we'll see or what characters we'll meet up with. I like to go in blind and figure it all out, but that was this entire game. If you didn't catch it, make sure you go back and check it out from the very first case, because I promise you it is worth the experience. So anyways, if you enjoy this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live or on Twitch, at twitch.tv/theart27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games I'm playing each day, I post them on x.com/theart27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye. All right, now we're going to do a quick raid and get out of here, because it is way over time, guys. Who can we raid? Let us see. We're going to go ahead and raid Cole the Feeble. He is playing something. Phasmophobia, I think. No, I'm not sure. We're going to go ahead and raid him. And the next stream is going to be tomorrow at 3 p.m., guys. So I will see you guys then.